Simo Kimbangu's preaching life did not last long enough to offer a complete revisiting of the Bible or the white image in his mind. But its church, once established, built its own interpretations of the scriptures, which helps us gain better understanding of the Kimbanguist beliefs and representations in its space and time. So, Papa Simo Kimbangu's prophetic activities rapidly took on a new meanings and direction. So, there were three groups of people. There were three groups that stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu's mission. So there were three groups that were really upset, that was not happy with Papa Simo Kimbangu's mission from seeing Papa Simo Kimbangu preaching to people, doing the healings. So they were exactly three groups that reacted to him, and we will be finding out who or which groups these were. First were other black people who were against Papa Simo Kimbangu's preachings, against the power that was inside Papa Simo Kimbangu that was taking control at that time. So it was black natives like him stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu, the second people, and they were furious and against Papa Simo Kimbangu, European missionaries and religious authorities, people of God. People of God. Those were the second group that stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu. Why does this story seem so familiar to you? A story that is worldwide known. Like really, I get excited when I'm going through this history. So it was, the first were the blacks, the natives, Papa Simo Kimbangu's own people, Africans, stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu. The second were the missionaries, European missionaries, the religious authorities, people of God. And then the third was the Belgian colonial authorities. These were the three groups of people that stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu. Moving forward, so in the eyes of his compatriots, Papa Simo Kimbangu was a man who awakened moral consciousness. His experience, which was first and foremost a personal one, aroused the faith of his people. They listened to him. They listened to Papa Simo Kimbangu. They renounced witchcraft and discarded their fetishes. Although Father Van Vink opposed the movement, he also acknowledged the success. When Papa Simo Kimbangu was recognized as the savior of his people, imposed the destruction of Mkisi, he was obeyed not only by his conscious followers, but by an entire population who had no direct contact with him or his group. Can you imagine that? How scary was that not for those three groups that imposed Papa Simo Kimbangu? They saw that Papa Simo Kimbangu was powerful. They saw that this man had a voice to gather nations, flock of people running to him, seeking guidance, seeking protection, seeking help. When these three groups saw that this man had a voice to lead, it scared them. It scared them. It really scared them, because they saw the future, and then they saw and said, if we continue watching Kimbangu carry on this mission, it will be a loss for us. Remember, Congo was colonized. This triggered an actual social movement in the Belgian Congo, which had a big impact on the social lives of the black people there. A Belgian lawyer called Jules Chome, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his surname Chome or Jules Chome, observed that Going back. So in the villages, Papa Simo Kimbangu conquered the wives of the polygamous husbands. If Papa Simo Kimbangu found 8 wives or 5 wives in one household, Papa Simo Kimbangu would leave one and send the rest back to their families. Papa Simo Kimbangu said no to polygamous, no to witchcraft, no to many things. Feast drums, which was very necessary in celebrations, were destroyed. So people in the village, whenever there would be celebrations, there will be dancing. Papa Simo Kimbangu said no to dancing or even just watching people dance. In the Kimbanguist religion, it is forbidden, it is wrong, it is a sin. Okay? Going back, that was forbidden, and Papa Simo Kimbangu he succeeded to get all the drums destroyed. At a more political level, Papa Simo Kimbangu's teachings made the Congolese more aware of the real problem and rekindled dissatisfaction with their social situation, including oppression, dire poverty, and lack of invention by Black people in the white-dominated field of science. Papa Simo Kimbangu was regarded as a liberator whose mission was to bring peace, prosperity, and happiness, and also a new science that would be more powerful than that of the colonizers. Papa Simo Kimbangu's activities, being both political and religious, did cause a reaction from colonial authorities, and religious authorities was twofold. We're going to find out. Papa Simo Kimbangu's work was initially received as favorably by the Protestant mission of Ngombe Lutete because he had been trained by them. So they thought. I believe God only used them to pave Kimbangu's way so that Kimbangu could take up his mission at the right time, as God planned it to be. Now we're going to be going deeper into the story. We're going to be talking of the 3 groups that opposed Papa Simo Kimbangu. We're going to be going deeper now. We're going to be finding out the juicy, and we're going to be finding out what exactly happened and how everything went down. Speaking of the missionaries right now, okay, the men of God, okay, who stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu. Father Cherry and Pastor Peterson raised their voices to suggest that Simo Kimbangu's missionary could indeed be God-given. The director of the regional mission, after seeing for himself the work of the Black prophet, as they called Papa Simo Kimbangu, made this remark. He said, "It is the first time I have seen in plain evidence of the presence of God in Congo." He said this after seeing the miracles and healings and preachings being conducted by Papa Simo Kimbangu. He saw it with his own 2 eyes, and that made him say that. But the sheep must not lead its shepherd. He said to Kimbangu, "It is possible that you hold this power from God, but all the merit has to go to the deacons." Really? Okay. Now we're going to be going deeper into the story. We're really getting into, we're really getting into the juicy part. So keep watching. So this man, he acknowledged and he knew that the power that Papa Simo Kimbangu held inside of him was from God. He never denied that. But what he did deny was that, no, Papa Simo Kimbangu cannot receive the praise because, number 1, he was Black. He is Black. Number 2, Congo was colonized. So they were like, number 3, we are the people, or we are the people that trained you. We trained you in our church. You are holding this power also because of us. So they were like, Kimbangu cannot stand in front and give praise or give all the benefits to Papa Simon Kimbangu, they said, no, we acknowledge that the power that is inside of you is of God, but you will not receive the praise. This praise has to go to our deacons. But this positive reaction from the Protestants was short-lived, because Kimbangu, as a native, had no entitle to such freedom of speech and action. Pastor Robert Lenyon Jennings was one of the Protestants that was most opposed to Kimbangu. Not only did he deny Kimbangu's miracles, but he challenged him at a fundamental moment for the nascent church. Having noticed that the choir surrounding Papa Simon Kimbangu exclusively sang Baptist hymns, Jennings went to Kimbangu and asked, "How is it that Jesus, who gave you the power to resurrect dead people, has so deprived you to hymns that you have to resort to ours?" So he was like, "Papa Simon Kimbangu, how come this Jesus," in a mocking way, "how come this Jesus who gave you the power to resurrect the dead, to heal people, has kept you or has refrained you from giving you songs of hymns?" That was his question to Papa Simon Kimbangu. In response, Papa Simon Kimbangu left the crowd for a short moment and discreetly prayed. A little while later, Papa Simon Kimbangu walked back and taught the choir an entirely new song. It was the first Kimbangist hymn. This song goes like this. Oh baby wiza, oh wiza, oh wiza watu salisa. Oh baby wiza, oh wiza, oh wiza watu salisa. It's very long, but that was the first Kimbangist song. That was the first spiritually inspired hymn song that was given to Papa Simon Kimbangu, that Jesus Christ gave to Papa Simon Kimbangu. Okay, we will be finding out more about hymns, deeper into the topic of Kimbanguism as we go. So much information that I am going to be sharing with you guys, really valuable information like this. The Kimbanguism church religion, it's so sacred in a way that it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So going back to the story, since then Kimbangist has had a body full of hymns exclusively their own. According to the Catholic Van Wing, both an observer and a participant, Kimbangu's prophetic activities were rather received positively by Protestant missionaries who considered him to be an envoy sent from above and a fruit of their missionary work. In 1958, Van Wing noted to the Protestant missionaries, he noted to them, stating, Kimbangu was an inspired man who kindled and pointedly exalted their followers' faith in Protestant style. The initial passivity of the colonial administration allowed Van Wing to take initiative according to his faith. By June 1921, he set up a counter-propaganda scheme which consisted in making Catholic natives understand that adhering to Kimbangu's doctrine meant renouncing the Catholic faith and the sin of apostasy. This is what he told the native Catholics, so the Black Catholics. Okay? The Belgian authorities were the last to react. The traders and news agencies that persuaded Morel, whom was in charge of the Kamba region, that the movement was dangerous. So, to explain, Morel was in charge of the Kamba region, so he was the one controlling the Kamba region, okay? And the Belgium went to Morale and they went and lied to him, stating that Papa Simo Kimbangu's movement was dangerous. So they fed him all sorts of things. At first, Papa Simo Kimbangu was free to preach and do his healings, but because these people, they saw it as a threat, they were not happy with what was happening. They were just trying to stop God's mission, or trying to stop God's work among the people of Congo. They went to Morale and reported Kimbangu, stating that the movement that Kimbangu started was dangerous. And now we're going to go deeper, finding out what they meant when they said it was dangerous. So Morale went to Kamba with his staff to see for himself. I will state that Morale was in charge of the Kamba region, but it does not mean that he was for Papa Simo Kimbangu. He himself also was not happy with what he saw. He was not standing with Papa Simo Kimbangu's missionary. Okay, going back. So Morale went to Kamba with his staff to see what was happening with his own eyes. He selected 5 sick people, including 2 paralytics, who were brought to Papa Simo Kimbangu, and Papa Simo Kimbangu healed them without even touching them. We cannot mess with the power of God. When God wants to prove something to you, He will prove it to you, making you feel, I don't even know what word to use, but anyway, so that's what happened. Morale took sick people to Kamba because he heard of all these things, that was what Kimbangu was doing, and then he decided to take sick people to Papa Simo Kimbangu to see if Papa Simo Kimbangu's power was real. So he took crippled people, and Papa Simo Kimbangu healed these people without him even having to touch them. Papa Simo Kimbangu already knew what was lying, like Papa Simo Kimbangu already knew what was in Morale's head or mind, what Morale was thinking. Papa Simo Kimbangu already knew. Therefore, the reason Morale went to Kamba. So Morale and his soldiers watched in utter dismay. They were so shocked. They saw God's power doing its thing right before their naked eyes. In his report of May 17, 1921, Morale commented on the religious fanaticism and blind faith which he had seen, comparing the mass spirituality of which he witnessed in Kamba to that of Lourdes, complained that it was mere fetishism due to the primitive character of the natives. You see, even though he saw what he saw, even though he got answers, he got answered, he still chose to deny. He concluded that Papa Simo Kimbangu's goal was to create a new religion that fit the natives' mindset, and added, saying that everybody can see that our European religions fraught with abstract notions and do not answer the needs of the Africans who demand protection and solid facts. So this is exactly what Morale was telling the people. Okay, this is what he was telling his people. But as the zeal of Kimbangu's followers impelled them to leave hospitals, railways, construction sites in Matadi, and other workplaces, the colonial authorities felt impelled to take action. So people were leaving their jobs, leaving their workplaces, leaving construction works. Let's not forget, this was the time of the colonial. So Africans, the natives, were slaves, actual slaves. They were working, okay, working and laboring in these sites. So they were leaving these sites, going to Kimbangu. So this came as a big threat to the Belgian colonial authorities, and they decided, oh no, it is time for us to take action, and they started plotting. So this is when the plots just continued. Catholic missionaries were not the only ones bringing their complaints to the administrators. Clerks and factory workers were deserting their work. and boys serving in the European homes were leaving their linens unwashed, sneaking away to go and attend Papa Simo Kimbangu's meeting. So the movement really, the movement was forming. Papa Simo Kimbangu's movement was really forming. So factory workers were leaving to go and attend these meetings, and this really caused a chaos in the eyes of the colonial. Jules Chone ironically include from the officials of trade and industry in Matadi and Thiceville to the European ladies who suddenly had to do their own cooking. Everyone agreed with the missionaries that it was time to put an end to the movement that caused so much trouble. In June 1921, with the permission from his superiors and the helps of troops, Morel made a first attempt to arrest Papa Simo Kimbangu, but he failed. Papa Simo Kimbangu managed to escape. So this happened on the 5th of June 1921, when all the missionaries, all the Belgian colonial authorities, and the black natives that stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu, when they all got together, they decided, okay, it is time to put an end to this movement. They said that it was causing trouble. Papa Simo Kimbangu never did anything bad to anyone. Papa Simo Kimbangu did not preach violence against the white colonial authorities. He never preached anything that involved violence. All he did was open the minds of his people, and they were not happy with that. So on the 5th of June was the first attempt that they attempted to arrest Papa Simo Kimbangu. This story is very vast. On the 5th of June, I would love to touch deep into this story, but not in this video. Definitely in a future video, we will talk about this event on the 5th of June. What happened when the soldiers and the troops invaded Kamba to arrest Papa Simo Kimbangu. Something big happened before Papa Simo Kimbangu managing to escape. The story goes deep, and we're definitely going to talk about this. So going back to the story, Papa Simo Kimbangu managed to escape. His arrestation did not occur or happen on the 5th of June. This failed arrest that happened on the 5th of June 1921 is still commemorated today by Kimbanguis, who understood it as God's refusal to hand Kimbangu over at the start of his mission. So it was not the time for Papa Simo Kimbangu to be arrested. That was not the time. So Papa Simo Kimbangu turned himself in to the Belgian authorities on the day which he had chosen, September 12, 1921, which also happened to be Papa Simo Kimbangu's birthday. If you watched part 1, we spoke of Papa Simo Kimbangu when we introduced him. Papa Simo Kimbangu was born on the 12th of September 1887, and on the 12th of September 1921, that's the day that Papa Simo Kimbangu chose to hand himself over to the Belgian authorities. This was after 5 months of preaching and healing. Papa Simo Kimbangu called on to his followers and told them to remain non-violent. Even though he was being arrested, he handed himself in. Papa Simo Kimbangu asked his followers to be non-violent, to let it happen, because that's how God wanted it to happen. He said to his followers, "It is now time for me to turn myself into the authorities. Let impatient men, prone to anger, be gone." Those were Papa Simo Kimbangu's words when he was turning himself in. So, part 1 of the series of Kimbanguism, we spoke about what is Kimbanguism, who started the movement. We introduced Papa Simo Kimbangu, the founder of the religion and church. And then part 2, we spoke about the continuation of Papa Simo Kimbangu continuing to heal, to preach the word of God, and what happened when the Belgian authorities and the black natives and the missionaries, the religion missionaries authorities stood up against Papa Simo Kimbangu. Thank Thank you so much for tuning into this video. On today's topic, we will be leaving it here. We will be continuing the story in our next video, which will be part 3. Yes, we will be finding out more what happened when Papa Simo Kimbangu got arrested, what happened, because we know that a lot of things happened, a lot of prophecies that Papa Simo Kimbangu had spoken, just a lot happened, and we will be finding out what happened, going deeper into the story on part 3. So stay tuned and share, like, subscribe to the channel. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel and share this video with anyone who will find this information helpful. I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.